Hello everybody, it is I, NCSO7 here. Welcome to another Iceberg video, and today I'm going to be taking a look at the Gran Turismo Iceberg. And I know I was going to do, this was supposed to go up before, but yeah, I know it's been delayed, but yeah, this became a bit of a bigger project than I was envisioning it to be. More on that at the end of the video, so yeah, I'll explain it then. But today I'm going to be taking a look at this. While I did make this specific iceberg myself, the one on screen right now, I did use an iceberg by this user on Reddit that made getting information a lot easier. It's pretty much the same thing as that, except I added some of my own points and whatnot and put the pictures on the side. There's not really any need for much more. You guys know what Gran Turismo is, more than likely. It's a racing game. It's more of a simulation racing game than anything. If you couldn't tell based off the logo alone, like a driving simulator. But anyways, let's get into the iceberg. License tests. These are a staple within the series. The license tests, if you don't know, all two of you, are basically these driving challenges that you complete in order to get a trophy, gold, silver, or bronze, or not qualify at all. There's 10 of which in a license, and once you complete all 10 of them, you end up receiving a license. There's typically around like 5 or so licenses in the games. I believe it does vary. There's not really much else to say here. This is one of the biggest modes in the game. It leads towards the completion of the game, so yeah. Sunday Cup. This is an event in GT League that is pretty easy. It's well known for being a very easy event. It's designed for beginner players. Gran Turismo Sport. I don't really know why this is on the iceberg, but Gran Turismo Sport was a PS4 game released in 2017. It is technically part of the main series, so it is technically the 7th game, even though we have a Gran Turismo 7, which is kind of weird. Originally, the game was only really online, though it did eventually get a fair number of updates that did include some more single-player content, which a lot of people did like, but a lot of people did not like this game when it first came out because the game was online focused, and that's really all there was to it. It was an online game. And honestly, I think the game is pretty solid. I may make a video about it in the future. I don't know. But Gran Turismo Sport is definitely a pretty good game and definitely one of the most visually stunning PS4 games. Dude, run the game in 60 FPS. It is ridiculously good looking. Special events. These are certain races that can be different to test your skill. These are present within GT 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. They basically test your skill. That's pretty much it. GT mode. This is the main mode within the series. This is by going through licenses that I mentioned earlier, as well as various different races through basically a career mode. Though it is different within each and every game, though, how it's set up. Trial Mountain Circuit. So this is a fictional circuit that's made for Gran Turismo. It is set in the US and being almost 4 kilometers, and is well known for being pretty easy. It's not that difficult of a track. There are a couple of secrets that you can find on this track as well, but that will be later in the iceberg. Arcade mode. This is a mode where you basically race the AI to win money. You choose the track, whatever, all the options, and then you go into it. Yeah, there's not really a lot to say for a lot of this stuff. Just bear with me. We'll get to the more interesting stuff later. Used car dealer. So this is essentially a dealership that exists within some of the games that allows you to get cheaper cars that already have a lot of mileage on them. This did eventually return in GT7 and was one of the biggest things they showed when the game was first revealed. Online. I don't know why this is also on here. Online has been in the game since GT5, Gran Turismo 5, and Gran Turismo 6, become the basis for Gran Turismo Sport, which I mentioned earlier. However, the online for GT5 and 6 would eventually get shut down pretty quickly after release, so it's kind of sad that those aren't available anymore, though you can play Gran Turismo Sport online still, and of course GT7 as well. Opening movies. I also don't, Jesus. The opening movies are at the beginning of every Gran Turismo game, and opening plays that shows the cars and whatnot. There's really not much to say about it. Every Gran Turismo game has it. Is it worth being on the iceberg? Yeah, this stuff wasn't put on here by me. This wasn't my own points. I wouldn't have put this on here. And yeah, this is completely improv, but still, that's what it is. Now let's get into some more hopefully interesting stuff. Coffee breaks. So these are small mini games that would unlock during the license tests in Gran Turismo 4. And these mini games would be stuff such as knocking over all the cones in a specific spiral. You'd be sent in an arena and you gotta do stuff like that. That's pretty much what it is. It's basically exactly what it's called. It's a little break to kind of take you away from the core of the game and give you something a little different to do. Real world circuits. So there are a lot of circuits in this game that are from the real world. Surprising, I know. Some examples include Nürburgring, Suzuka Circuit, and Daytona International Speedway. 2021. So originally, Gran Turismo 7 was revealed in 2020, along with the PlayStation 5 console, and was slated for 2021 for release. However, this was pushed back not too long after it was announced, due to COVID-19, and as well as to make a PS4 version of the game, since the PlayStation 5 was not very easy to get your hands on, and still isn't easy to get your hands on even today, which is kind of sad. GT5 course generator. So there's a course generator in GT5 that basically allows you to make your own tracks. Actually, no, it's actually not a custom track maker. Basically, you just choose a circuit that's already pre-made, and then you can tweak various aspects of it until it's what you want it to be. That's really all it is. It's a little disappointing in my opinion, honestly. Photo mode and scapes. So this is a mode that allows you to take pictures of cars in various environments and move the camera around the track as well. The name was eventually changed to Scapes in Sport, and would even get some DLC in the game of more locations. Special Stage Route X. So this is another fictional track that was made for Gran Turismo. It's pretty simple. It's basically 2 straight lines and 2 curves. The thing about it, though, is that it's extremely long, being 30 kilometers long, and is kind of more so a test track. That is pretty much how it's designed, though it goes clockwise, while the test track in the other Gran Turismo games goes counterclockwise. GT6 Track Path Editor app. So when GT6 was released, there was an app that was made for mobile devices that allowed users to create custom tracks and transfer them to GT6. However, though, this isn't possible now due to the servers closing for GT6, so this app would unfortunately fall into obscurity. Gran Turismo HD. So Gran Turismo HD was a scrapped PS3 Gran Turismo game that was eventually repurposed in the GT5, though it is believed that HD was indeed a different game. It was scrapped eventually, I guess because they wanted to change it. I don't know. I honestly don't know. Though there is one point later on this iceberg that does give an idea as to why it was scrapped. However, there is one remnant of this game that does exist. Gran Turismo HD Concept, which was actually released as basically a small little demo. You could get this on the PlayStation Store for free in 2006, though the Japanese market would actually get a physical copy of the game. And the game really got scrapped pretty quickly. I mean, once GT5 Prologue came out and Gran Turismo 5 started development, the Gran Turismo HD was old news, and thus they stopped making copies of the game, and eventually the demo that was on the PlayStation Store was eventually, taken away. Or at least I wasn't able to get it. However, you can get Gran Turismo HD Concept for, that's a lot of money. Not paying that. FIA certified Gran Turismo championships. So basically these are just Gran Turismo Sport esports. That's pretty much it. These started in 2018 and are very good for people that want to get into real motorsports. And I think it's quite good. I haven't really watched any of them myself. I'm not really that hardcore of a GT player. I'm honestly not even that good, but it is still cool that they are able to make esports out of these games. GT6 seasonal events. So these are special races and time trials that could be played in GT6 through online play, though unfortunately aren't accessible anymore due to, again, the servers being shut down for the game. However, this would eventually return in an updated Gran Turismo Sport. Moon over the Castle. There's not much to say about it. It's just the main theme for the series that was created by Masahiro Ando and appears in almost every Gran Turismo game. GTS penalty system. So penalties were first introduced in Gran Turismo 4, however in Sport they work a little differently, as it's basically your responsibility to deal with the penalties, and can actually deduct your sportsmanship rating and can even disqualify you in rare cases whenever you play in Sport mode, and can actually put you into no joke probation, though it's not that easy to do, with the only way being able to remove the probation is to raise your rating to a specified level, and then it goes away. It's a little odd, and I'm not gonna lie, I do have a bit of an issue with how the penalties work sometimes, but I mean, you can turn them off for like arcade races. Motorsports Land. So this is a fictional track in GT2, and just look at the design of this track. Yeah, it doesn't look that easy, does it? Yeah, it's known for being a pretty difficult track. Tourist Trophy. So Tourist Trophy was a PS2 game that released in 2006 and was made by Polyphony Digital themselves, and is pretty much just Gran Turismo but with bikes, even using the same engine as Gran Turismo 4, and being one of the few PS2 games that can actually support 1080i output. It's very similar. Heck, the game has even similar modes to Gran Turismo, like the arcade mode, challenge mode, and the driving school mode. Honestly, I haven't played it myself, but I'd honestly like to see this concept come back. I mean, there was like one attempt, though I'll again mention that later in the video, but I honestly would like to see a sequel to it. I think it'd be really cool to see on the PS5. I think it'd be cool at least. They probably won't do it though, unfortunately. Suzuki Escudo Pikes Peak. So this is a hill climb rallying car that only appears in GT2 and costs 2 million credits and is basically what you can use to basically cheese the game. It beats every other car on any track, so you can buy this and basically have a guaranteed win throughout the entirety of the game. Gran Turismo PSP. Apparently people don't know about this, but there was actually a Gran Turismo game made for the PlayStation Portable in 2009, being the only portable Gran Turismo game, and only having arcade mode and licenses and multiplayer, and that was kind of it. Honestly, I will make a video on this in the future, but it isn't really that amazing of a game. I mean, it's definitely cool, yes, but there's really not much to the game. Honestly, if they're playing an hour of the game, you've pretty much played all of it. But even so, though, I'd still think it's alright. It's more so a tech demo more so than anything. Gran Turismo Prologue games. So there were a couple Prologue games that were made specifically for Gran Turismo 4 and Gran Turismo 5, which were basically released before the games were, the full game's release, to give players an idea of what the game would be like, and were also more so aimed at beginners. And they're okay. I haven't played them myself. I actually haven't played many of the Gran Turismo games, but they seem okay enough, but I don't know. I mean, I guess it's okay, but really, they really couldn't just give you like a free demo on the PlayStation Store like they did with HD Concept. Instead, now you have to go buy the Prologue. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that one. Jenkins, or Primary the Cat. So in the Kyoto photo travel location in GT5, you can find this cat, which is actually a model of a cat that one of the employees working on the game had. It was actually put in the game as a wedding gift, which is pretty cool that he got his cat in the game because of his eventual wedding. Though unfortunately, the cat did pass away, unfortunately, but at least he was able to live on within this game, and a really cool piece of lore. Laguna Seca sign, possibly butchering that name, in GT4, maybe, I'm not entirely sure. There could be this sign that's found on the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca that just says, Apparently, from what I know, this was a Mazda ad, and apparently they had an ad campaign at the time about how their engines go, and it was placed on this track, as this track itself was actually sponsored by Mazda, so, yeah. GT4 Online. So originally GT4 was going to include an online mode, however this was scrapped due to time constraints. However, they would eventually make online for GT4 into sort of a release. I mean, they eventually made a public beta of it in 2006 for the PS2. It was only really made for Polyphony to figure out how to make the online work for the future games. And getting this game online, yeah, it costs a lot of money. I'd assume it also probably doesn't even work nowadays, because I'm very certain the servers are shut down for it. Nike One 2022 is a special vehicle included in GT4 and can be seen in the Nike dealership, though can only be won through completing the International B license, or from the Celine S7 Club, or can be acquired through using the iToy to scan a specific Nike pattern through the camera to unlock the car. Yeah, using the iToy, the obscure kinda accessory camera for the PlayStation 2. Yeah, yeah, it's a thing. Trial Mountain Loch Ness. So in one section of Trial Mountain Circuit, you can actually find a lake that actually has, well, the Loch Ness Monster with a boat as next to it. Though this is different in GT7, as the boat is actually gone and Loch Ness only pokes its head out every 5 or so minutes. You can see it in this picture right here. Trial Mountain Massive Tree. So again, in this track, but in a different section, you can find this really huge pine tree. Though again, this is different in GT7, as the tree is replaced by a stump for a huge redwood tree. GT6 Barthurst Hidden Tire Stack Achievement. So on the Mount Panorama Racing Circuit, there's a secret area that you can drive to with these blue tires, and if you bump into them, you'll actually receive a bronze trophy. Yeah, it's out of the way, so you kind of do need to look for it, but it's a cool little Easter egg nonetheless. Seattle Glitch. In Gran Turismo 3, on the Seattle circuit, you can actually glitch out of bounds by driving into a collision barrier in the southeast part of the track at just the right angle and at least at 300 kilometers an hour. It's pretty cool looking, honestly. It's pretty dope. Special Stage Route 5, 7, and 11 are all connected. I only know that at least Route 5 and 7 are connected according to the fandom wiki. I'm not really entirely sure on this though, because I couldn't find much about this, but I'd assume that is more than likely the case. Apricot Hill Fire. So in GT4, you can see smoke on a hill in Apricot Hill Raceway. That potentially means that a fire is happening nearby, which you can see in this picture. Trial Mountain Monkey, or Bigfoot. So in another part of Trial Mountain Circuit, you can find a tree that actually has a monkey in there, though it's much more hidden away in GT7. And as for it being Bigfoot, probably not. This monkey probably has nothing to do with Bigfoot. It's probably only here just because of the fact that any misidentification of a monkey is immediately Bigfoot. I didn't put this point on here. I didn't make this one up. SSRX location. So I didn't mention it before, but apparently it is, while it is set in the US, we don't know exactly where. So we do think that it could potentially be in California due to the World Circuits map in GT7 that does show it more so in California, which isn't a bad guess. Gran Turismo 2000. So this is a tech demo that was made for the PlayStation 2, and that would eventually become Gran Turismo 3 A-Spec. It was shown at the Tokyo Game Show in 1999 and even actually appeared on a demo disc. And through the pictures that I'm showing on the screen right now, it's pretty different. This is, again, a tech demo, so not much really to it. Tokyo R246 robot. So behind some cars on the track Tokyo R246, you can actually find what seems to be this weird astronaut thing. This is actually a robot called Asimo, or Asimo, I don't know how to pronounce it, which is actually Honda's robot, and is the reason why it looks like an astronaut. So, yeah, pretty cool Easter egg. GT4 European intro is different from American. This actually goes for all the versions of the game, as every version of the game actually uses different clips for their introduction. This isn't just limited to the European and American versions. The Japanese version is also different. And the clips are different, more than likely so they can sync better with the song used. Concept games. So I mentioned the prologue games before, however the concept games are a lot more obscure, as no one really talks about them. One example being the Gran Turismo concept games on PS2 that were kind of made sort of as, I guess, DLC. They don't seem to really be full games. And as I mentioned before, Gran Turismo HD Concept, which was the demo version of the canceled Gran Turismo HD. However, these games stopped getting made pretty much after that point. Gran Turismo 5 scrapped courses. So there's a lot of data that exists within the files for the tracks in GT4 that potentially means that Gran Turismo 5 was originally going to have Gran Turismo 4 tracks in the game, at least a lot more of them. Though there is actually a possible explanation as to why this is, but that'll be saved for later on the iceberg. GT Academy. So this was a TV program that was ran by Sony and Nissan, where players of Gran Turismo could participate in real-life motorsports. This show started in 2008 and ended in 2016 and isn't really that well known. I'd assume that they scrapped it due to the kind of obscurity of it, I guess you could say. I at least didn't really know much about it before looking into this. Motor Tune Grand Prix. So Motor Tune Grand Prix is a PS1 game that released in 1994 and was basically made to test the waters of making a realistic driving game. This game is basically made to become was basically just a precursor to Gran Turismo. It's honestly not that good of a game from what I can tell. I've never played it myself, and it is just kind of looks like a Mario Kart ripoff, though this would become a basis for one of the best-selling racing game series ever made. License test beginner rank. Apparently in GT2, if you continuously failed a license but eventually did get close enough to the passing score, you would eventually receive a rank that was actually below bronze and just simply mentioned that you passed the test. It's kind of weird, though I couldn't really find a lot about this online, but if this is the case, if this is true, it's pretty cool in my opinion. Jenkins returns in GT Sport. I couldn't find much on this one. I could only find this one image, which could maybe be from GT Sport. I mean, I guess it could be, but I honestly don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Let me know in the comments if that is the case. SSRX scrapped second route. So there was originally a scrapped route for SSRX that was found within the data for GT5 and 6 that would be very different from what SSRX actually is. While it had 2 straight lines and 2 curves, this scrapped route was going to have a lot of turns and even a section with a tunnel. this was more than likely scrapped due to it not really fitting in with how the final track is designed at all. It's very interesting though, and I do kind of wish that it was kept in the final version of the games, even if it did feel out of place. Gran Turismo 1 demos. So there were multiple demos that were released before the final version of the game, and just to list them off, there's a test drive disc in August of 1997 that was part of the Pure Volume 8, which is apparently a series of demo discs that were released in Japan. A trial version disc in October of 1997, looking closer to that of the final version of the game, and the preview V2 disc in November 1997, and the US demo disc in March of 1998. Jesus Christ, that was a lot of demos to go through. But yeah, these were made early before the game released to kind of, show what the game was about before it released. Toyota POD. So this is a strange car that was added into Gran Turismo Concept, which I mentioned before, and basically just looks like a pod that apparently was actually designed by Toyota, which is why it's called the Toyota POD, because it looks like a pod. GT5 Palio di Siena. So this is apparently a scrapped track that would have been designed more so for karts than actual cars, and apparently it was removed from the game due to the city of the track originating from being kind of pissed off. Apparently, the track took place in some city in Italy from what I know, and apparently they didn't like that this track was in the game for some reason. I don't know. I only found this picture on right here, maybe another one, but it exists. Gran Turismo for Boys. This is a canceled game, sort of. This game was originally intended to release in 2005 for the PS2, and was aimed more so at new beginners, though never was released. However, according to Yamauchi, the producer of the series, apparently it did eventually live on through the PSP game that I also mentioned earlier in the Iceberg. And, I guess. The PSP game is pretty basic when it comes down to it, and it is kind of more aimed at beginners. I at least found it easier, and I'm not even that good at the games. So, maybe. I don't know, though. Sonic the Hedgehog on Fuji Speedway. So in Gran Turismo 6, on Fuji Speedway, you can actually find this sign on the track that actually has, Sonic on it. It's kind of funny that it's there. Nobody even really knows about this. Seriously, it's very low on the iceberg for a reason. Nobody talks about it at all. Unknown town visible from SSRX Bridge. In GT6, you can find a town in the background of the back left side of the track, and there's really not much to it. It's just a part of the background, though unfortunately it doesn't really give us much of an idea of where this track exactly is within the US. Red Bull Hangar 7 camera glitch. So, this one you might want to take with a grain of salt, because honestly, I don't even really know much about this one at all. Apparently this is a possible glitch where you could glitch out the camera, but I don't even know if this exists. The person that made that I found this point from kind of mentions that they saw this as a child, though I'm not entirely sure if this is just a Mandela effect or not, or if this was a very, very one-of-a-kind glitch. I don't know. If anyone knows anything, let me know in the comments section. GT5 originally meant to be GT4 and Tourist Trophy fused together. So I've been alluding to this point for quite a while, but essentially in the earliest screenshots of Gran Turismo HD, there were cars alongside motorcycles, meaning that Gran Turismo HD could have been both GT4 and Tourist Trophy fused together. And this could actually explain why there's so many Gran Turismo 4 tracks that are left over in the data for Gran Turismo 5. Though apparently, from what we know, Gran Turismo HD was not GT5, but it definitely seems like GT5 got its start from GTHD. Kazunori crashed his R33. So apparently, Kazunori Yamauchi, the producer of the series, got a Nissan Skyline GTR after graduating and crashed it, leaving lots of damage. And after this experience has pretty much shaped why Gran Turismo doesn't actually have actual damage to cars, as he believes that they're a form of art and not things to be damaged, which is fair enough. That's pretty understandable. Mystery car in GT6 Silverstone trailer. So there's this car that can be found in this trailer for Gran Turismo 6 that no one knows what it is. Some people think that it's a fictional car that was only made for the trailer, and other people think that it might potentially be an extremely obscure car. I don't know. It can be seen in this picture. If anybody who has an idea as to what it is, let us know in the comments below. Eiger Nordwand is renovated Grindelwald. So I don't really know how true this is. Again, this point wasn't from me, but given that the locations of these two tracks are pretty close, it could be possible, though I'm not entirely too sure, considering one of them is fictional. So I don't really know about this one. I have some information on the series that nobody knows about. Finally, at the depths of the depths, the absolute deepest we are, stuff that nobody knows and, in my opinion, really shouldn't be out there. But I want to inform you guys on some things I've found. Forza Horizon is canon. There's been talks about a potential Forza Horizon and Gran Turismo crossover. We don't know exactly when it's going to happen, but it's going to happen, damn it. Microsoft and Sony are going to go through with this. And even right now, there are hints of Forza Horizon even being in Gran Turismo, meaning that the two series are connected. GT2 never existed. Gran Turismo 2 was never made into a game. The game was never released, and what we got instead was actually a fake. It wasn't the real Gran Turismo 2, because apparently the real Gran Turismo 2 was so difficult to develop, so alert, so horrible, so bad, and drained the work. It just never released. The developers could not make the game. Simply put, it was just impossible. Some members even collapsed through overexhaustion of making the game. Probably being a good thing that the game never actually released as what it was. Gold trophies are impossible. Whether it's in license tests or missions, gold trophies are literally impossible. They are only possible through the absolute craziest of luck ever. You have to be just lucky enough, which makes them impossible. Gran Turismo isn't a simulation. Gran Turismo claims that it's a simulation driving game, but honestly, that's probably not the case. Gran Turismo isn't just a simulation. It seems to be the basis for something bigger, something that Sony and Polyphony want to do more with. This ain't going to just be a simulation. This is going to be something that changes our world and should be treated as such. And that was the Gran Turismo Iceberg. Thank God it's finally over. Oh man, this took a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. Because like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, but this video is originally supposed to come out in late March. This was originally supposed to be like a 10 or 15 minute video. It was going to be a mini iceberg at first, but then I found I mentioned at the beginning that one iceberg, and I was just like, you know what? If I'm going to do a Gran Turismo iceberg, I may as well really go in depth. So that's what I did. It did take longer than I expected, but I'm glad to have it done now, especially right before moving, because the day this goes up is when I'm moving. So, yeah. And I'm recording this audio way after I recorded the audio for the rest of the video, but yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys learned something new. I do want to also give a shout out real quickly to Matt J155. They made a Gran Turismo iceberg as well, just like earlier this week. Heavily recommend checking out their video, even though I haven't seen much of it. Yeah, but there's not really much else to say on this. The next iceberg I'm going to be doing is the Little Witch Academia Iceberg, but I have no idea when that's coming out. I would wager it's going to be either June or July. I would lean more towards July just because I mean, I pushed this video back, so it's very likely I'll just push the next iceberg back. But I don't know how many more icebergs I'm going to be doing because there's not as much stuff like at this point that I really want to talk about that hasn't been made into an iceberg. So I don't know how much more I'm going to really be doing with regarding icebergs. Still like making the video and still like making them. They're probably my favorite videos I make, but I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I can only do so many before I eventually just run dry. At least on stuff that I want to personally talk about. But yeah, anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. If you guys did enjoy, please hit the like button and subscribe. And also, if you have any points of your own that you'd like to add, because I mean, I'm entertaining the idea of a part 2 someday. If there's enough for that, it probably won't be as long as this video, but if you do have any other suggestions, and please let me know in the comments below. Do at least provide a little explanation on what it is, though, so I'm not completely in the dark. And also, if there's things in this video that I did not explain properly, which is very likely the case, because some of this stuff I couldn't really find out much about. Like, that unknown town in the Gran Turismo 6 SSRX bridge, I, literally had to go find that myself in the game. There's no videos or any mentions aside from, that one Reddit thread that said that it was there. But I was able to find it, thankfully. But, yeah, if there's things I did miss or things that I could have explained better, then just let me know in the comment section. But this has been, and outro part's going on long enough. Thank you guys for watching the video, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out. You have a good day.